Now, let's get into medical matters. Our next guest is Dr. Emmanuel Taban, one of only 10 black pulmonologists in South Africa. But more than that, during 2020, he was at the forefront of the treatment of COVID-19 patients in ICU. And Taban, in fact, was the first pulmonologist in the world to perform a therapeutic bronchoscopy on a hyposemic COVID-19 patient.
Well,
incredible big term, but thankfully he is here to break it down for us.
Well, he's also written a book. You know, here's the thing. He's written a whole autobiography, The Boy Who Never Gave Up, a refugee's epic journey to triumph. And he's got quite a story to tell. You want to be listening to it. And he joins us here on your Feel Good Breakfast show. Dr. Taban, so good to have you this morning. Good morning.
Thank you, Graham and Tabiso. Thank you for having me in your show this morning. Yes, it's actually been very interesting. I think life is a journey.
It's a crazy journey for you, I would imagine, over the last year and a half. Before we focus on your autobiography and your own journey, let's talk about the collective journey that we've all been on. I'm sure I completely butchered this term. Therapeutic bronchoscopy on a hyposemic COVID-19 patient. Feel free to laugh out loud. First of all, what does that actually mean in layman's terms?
I think let's probably break the term down. Hyposemic means people that have less oxygen.
Okay.
People that are on life support or they're about to be put on life support. I mean, as a human being, we breathe, take oxygen from air, but those people, because their lungs are compromised, now they're unable, the oxygen that they breathe through the air is no longer enough for them, so we need to supplement it.
Okay.
And basically what happened, bronchoscopy normally are done on, there are a lot of different indications. It's normal for really to diagnose infections in the lungs, and if you have lung tumors, where we do biopsy or resections, and also certain kind of, if you're bleeding from the lung. However, when COVID-19 came, there was a literature actually come that COVID-19 patients don't develop mucus plug. So now I had patients that were on the life support for 5 to 7 days. And those patients actually, they were dying because the oxygen, no matter how much oxygen you put in, they were not recovering very well.
Wow.
And that was the reason why I did the bronchoscopy.
And then, of course, this became, it was a treatment for COVID-19 patients. How successful, how significant has it proven to be successful in treating those COVID patients in ICU?
I think that it's a very good life-saving treatment, but again, it's not everybody who had COVID-19 would develop mucus plugs. There's a certain group of patients, that what we call the H type, that might actually develop mucus plugs, so probably 1 out of 10. I have published an article, and have to be in selective group of patients, and if it's done at the right time, you'll have a good results.
Wow.
You sound now, you talk about it quite matter of fact, but I would imagine the first time you've got to do a procedure that's never been done before, you must be anxious, surely. Were you nervous? How did you feel about kind of breaking this new ground?
Well, I think the reality about life that all of us were very afraid to venture into unknown territory, and especially when World Health Organization tell you that don't do it, and I think for me, I always having that curiosity because I needed to get answers. And yes, I put my career at risk by doing the bronchoscopy, but it turned out well, and you end saving lives. So I think for me, the general message of the public there that you will never have invasion, you will never have any intervention coming out new if you have not venture out of your normal...
You don't have the bravery, yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
And I suppose at the core of it is that you are driven by the desire and I suppose the commitment to saving lives, and this you are rooted in. And so even when you are hearing, all of these voices in your head and all of this anxiety, you are still wanting to forge forward.
Yeah, well, I think, yes, that I've always been driven by passion. Passion is what really drives me. And then, my patient survival, it means a lot for me. Just imagine, losing a patient is a one-way ticket. You're not coming back. So I think for me, it's always very difficult for me. I struggle to sign a death certificate, especially if I haven't done my best. So I wanted to do what's best for my patient, make sure that I've gone all the way. And if at the end of the day, the demise, then well and good. But I need to make sure that I've done 100% to my patients.
I would imagine you are driven on a number of levels. And yes, as a doctor, in this version of yourself that I see before me, but very much by the person that you were, coming from, to say humble beginnings is a complete understatement. Born in the Sudan, you were tortured by your government. What was your experience of life like then? I know it's an answer that's probably best, put in full diction, but How do you put that into context now?
Look, I think it looks like all those experiences that I went through during my childhood, throughout my journey, being in prison, tortured, it looks like it's preparing me for this time. So sometimes the negative things happen in our life, but they're there for a reason. It depends how you look at them. And one of the most important things, of course, that I never succumbed to become a victim. So I never developed that victim mentality, because if I suppose I do, then I will not be where I am today. But I've taken all those negative experiences to drive me forward. So in other words, it's just like a fuel that extra propel me to my next journey.
It's staggering to see how far you've come, and it is wonderful to see what you are able to do now, but I really do want to find out more about the journey that has brought you to us here in South Africa, and to your point in your own life as a now a global leading pulmonologist. So we're going to make sure that the doctor stays right where he is, and I suggest that you do the same. We have just touched the surface of Dr. Emmanuel Taban's life story. We're going to continue on that journey, so stay with us for more.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Thanks for staying with your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, here on S3. Open up to some inspiring conversations. We have quite the special guest in studio this morning, one of only 10 black pulmonologists in South Africa, and we're talking to Dr. Emmanuel Taban, who made a groundbreaking discovery in terms of the treatment of COVID-19 patients in ICU, and that has actually just been published. And he was also very lucky to be able to write an autobiography, The Boy Who Never Gave Up, a refugee's epic journey to triumph, about his escape from war-torn Sudan. Dr. Emmanuel Taban, thanks for staying with us.
Do you notice how he didn't give the term of the treatment a try, hey?
No, there was no
Come
need
on,
for that. No need for that.
It's amazing to hear what you are doing now with your life and the gifts that you have been given, but it's taken you quite a while, as your epic journey displayed in your autobiography tells us. We've touched on an unimaginable journey as a child in Sudan. Let's fast forward to arriving in South Africa. 18 months after making it to Johannesburg, you started your education officially, and this is now where you find yourself with the help of Catholic missionaries, as I understand it. Why medicine? Was that always the goal? Why was education so key to unlocking your potential ultimately?
I think medicine probably, since when I was born at the age of 7 years old, I remember one of the nurses in the village actually thought that I would become a doctor. And the same thing also when I was in Eritrea as a street child, one of the lawyer who was an American citizen also suggested that I should become a doctor. But little did I know actually that it was going to be my destiny. Of course, when I arrived in South Africa, I was destitute. I didn't have anywhere to stay until I got a chance to go to primary school, to high school, Standard 9 in Lukwatini area. And I did my matric in 1997, which I ended passing. But my marks was very low, was 57%. So I remember I went to Wits. I was supposed to do engineering at Wits University, but then my marks was a bit lower. And then I went for accounting. But then I thought, no, it wasn't for me until I went to the high school, to what you call the Technicon, and I was accepted to do electrical engineering. And initially I was excited, but something inside me crept that I was not meant to be a technical.
Calling, yeah.
Exactly, it wasn't my calling. And I decided I wanted to repeat my matric, and that was the. And when I went for matric, actually, one of the most important things that I was already 20 years old, and I just done matric. And I wasn't qualified actually to go to that school, actually, JPI School for Boys. But for whatever reason, nature just opened up and I was allowed to repeat my matric at JPI School for Boys. Wow. And that's what propelled me to do medicine actually in Medunsa, yeah.
Sometimes it really is that, right? That one door unlocks.
Just give you an opportunity.
Really gives you the opportunity. But your story is absolutely mind-blowing because it's very inspiring too. Being rejected by family, being tortured by government. How does anyone even survive that? How did you survive that? What kept you going?
I think the fact that I have lost a lot in my life, but I have more to gain. You know, once you're down on the floor, you can't go much deeper than that. The only way you can go only up. And I just knew that education was the key in unlocking the doors for the future in my life. And that was the reality. And I think, if you look at Africa, what's our major problem? It's lack of skills. You know, if you don't have skills, you cannot do anything in your life. And I think for me, I knew that through education, that's when I can defeat a lot of things in my life, include like segregation, racial or xenophobia, whatever it is. I need to get educated to open up my mind, to become productive and contribute. And that was what really drive me to become who I am today. And I think for me, education is a key in any sector in society.
The most powerful weapon, but also the most important key.
I have a feeling I'm going to lose myself in your autobiography, and as astounded as I am now that you are sitting here talking about the things that you have gone through in this fashion, I am as pleased that you are able to not only provide what you do in the medical field, but also that you're able to tell the story so that other people, especially now when the journey and the conditions that refugees across the world are facing, people can find out about firsthand what that is like. But thank you so much for spreading your message of inspiration with us. An incredible opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think it's very important for the people out there to know that, you know what, don't allow your circumstance to limit you.
And that's the
message.
You know,
and that's for me is the most important thing. And I think you need to kind of keep pushing. The fact that the door is closed, please just push it gently or look through the keyhole. You'll be surprised what you see.
And then kick it down.
And then kick it down.
Exactly.
I think it's also empowering knowing that it's all in your hands. Sometimes you're not going to have anyone lifting you up. You've got to have that willpower and be driven by that. We're seeing that in this story that certainly is going to be so inspiring to so many people. An incredibly inspiring story of survival and success against all odds. A refugee's epic journey to triumph. That is Dr. Emmanuel Taban.